Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to lay it all out for you, a complete roadmap that takes you from your very first day as a project coordinator all the way to becoming a true master of the craft.
Okay, let's just dive right in. Have you ever been there, caught in that, perfect storm of missed deadlines, tasks that make no sense, and a team that's just not on the same page? Yeah, that feeling of pure chaos is exactly what we're here to talk about.
And the solution, the antidote to that chaos, is project coordination. Think of it as the art of making sense of the madness. It's about aligning all those moving parts, the people, the tasks, the timelines, to steer a project from just an idea all the way to a successful finish. So this is a super common question, right? If the project manager is the one who sets the destination and draws the big picture map, think of the project coordinator as the expert navigator. You're the one managing that day-to-day journey, making sure the team gets where they need to go, safely and right on time. All right, so every journey starts with a first step. For us, that means forging a really solid foundation. We're going to build your essential toolkit, packing it with the absolute non-negotiables every great coordinator needs to have. First tool in the kit, the schedule. It sounds simple, but getting this right is everything. You create a detailed plan, then, and this is key, you work backward from your final deadline to figure out your milestones. And you use visual tools like Gantt charts to map it all out so everyone can see the plan. Next up, you've got to wrangle all those different tasks. And listen, the real trick here is to ditch the old school static spreadsheets and move into something dynamic and visual. A Kanban board, for example, is a game changer. It just lays everything out, to do, in progress, done, and creates instant clarity and accountability for the entire team. Amazing coordination really runs on amazing communication. But it's not about talking more, it's about being really intentional. You need to have your set channels, those regular, quick meetings, and always document what was decided with clear action items so nothing ever gets lost. And to finish off our beginner's toolkit, you have to remember this. Solid documentation is like your project's memory. And that pro tip on the slide, it's absolute gold. Document things as they're happening, while it's all fresh, not weeks later when you're trying to piece it all together. Okay, so you've got the basics down. Now it's time to level up. We're shifting gears now, moving away from just doing tasks to actually anticipating what's coming next. This is where you really start to enter new territory. And honestly, this right here is the single most important mindset shift you'll ever make. You're no longer just running around putting out fires. You become the person who sees the smoke on the horizon and prevents that fire from ever even starting. That's the leap. A huge proactive skill is learning how to protect the project's boundaries. You have to fight against scope creep. When all those little unapproved additions start to sneak in and bloat the project, you fight it by actively managing the scope and having a clear process for any changes. Proactive coordinators don't just wait for problems to smack them in the face. Nope, they go hunting for risks using this simple 4-step process. You figure out what could go wrong, you think about how likely and how bad it could be, and then you build a plan B before you ever need it. At this level, you also stop just informing your stakeholders. You start actively involving them. When you bring them into key decisions and build that trust, you turn them from just an audience into real project partners who are just as invested in its success as you are. Another massive proactive habit is keeping a super close eye on the budget in real time. By constantly checking what you're actually spending against what you planned to spend, you can catch any issues early on and fix them long before they blow up into major problems. All right, you ready? We are now entering the advanced level. This is where project coordination stops being just about tasks and starts becoming about strategic leadership and maximizing the project's true value. See, at this level, you're not just handing out work. You're thinking like a chess master, strategically balancing your team's workload to get the most out of everyone without burning them out. And you do it with cool techniques like resource leveling and smoothing. A true pro knows that there's no one-size-fits-all playbook. It just doesn't work. They strategically pick the right methodology for the job at hand, whether it's the strict step-by-step waterfall approach, the flexible cycles of agile, or even a creative hybrid of the two. And this is where you really hit mastery. It's about creating this amazing cycle of continuous learning. You systemically look back at every project, focusing on the process, not blaming people, and you build this incredible knowledge base that makes every future project even better. So here's the bottom line. Your technical skills, they get you in the door, they get you started. But these power skills, the ability to communicate a vision, solve tough problems, and really lead a team, that's what transforms you into a genuine strategic leader. Okay, wow. We have covered a ton of ground, right? We've gone from total beginner all the way to strategic leader. So the big question now is, what does this all mean for you? What does your personal path forward look like? Think of this as your personal action plan. First, you nail the fundamentals. Get those rock solid. Then, you focus on becoming more proactive with things like scope and risk. From there, you build towards that strategic mastery. And seriously, that tip about finding a mentor, don't sleep on that. It can change everything. At the end of the day, you have to remember that becoming a great project coordinator isn't about reaching some finish line. It's a continuous journey of growing and learning and getting just a little bit better with every single project you touch. So, after seeing this whole roadmap laid out, I've just got one question for you. What's your next step going to be?